Well, hello again. Glad to be back with you. Today I'd like to tell you one about happenings down around Quebec. Do any of you remember the Old Blacksmith at Quebec? Mr. Lon Jenkins. Now, Lon was kind of a recluse, but he did blacksmith work. He was a very good blacksmith, and he could do a lot of metal work. Very good at it. People would bring him things. He did not like for you to stand around and wait while he worked on your item. He wanted you to bring it and leave it. One day, an old lady came in, and he knew who she was, but he did not like for her to come in his shop. A lot of people said she was a witch. She was they called her the old haunted woman from old Pisgah. And she come in carrying a big kettle, big cast iron kettle. It didn't look like she could have carried it. It was so large, but she was carrying it with ease. That indicated to Lon and to other people that she maybe had some supernatural power. She had broken a leg off of it. It had legs where it held it up so you could build a fire under it. And she had broken a leg on the kettle, and she wanted it put back. Now, that's hard to do on cast iron. Lon could do it. He was wanting to get her out of his shop as soon as he could, and it was obvious she's going to wait on the kettle. So he got all of his equipment in line, and he told her, I'll fix it for you real quick and get you out of here. And he did. He fixed it. It was perfect. And she said, now what do I owe you? Well, Lon was afraid to charge her anything. Lon wasn't afraid of much in this world, but now he was afraid of this old lady. He said, no, take it on. She said, I don't take charity. But if you won't take anything, I'll grant you 3 wishes. Well, Lon first thought of money, and he thought, no, I've got all the money I need. I make a living. That's all I really want. And he thought of a bigger house, and he thought, I have a hard time keeping the little house I've got clean. I don't really need a bigger house. But people would come in the shop sometimes and pick up a hammer or a wrench, and they didn't steal it, but they'd walk over here talking to somebody and lay it down over here, and it wasn't where he left it. And he didn't like that. And he said, I wish that anybody that comes in this shop and picks up a tool, that their hand would glue to it and couldn't lay it down until I took it out of their hand. She said, that's done. Who? He didn't know it'd be that quick. Well, these boys that come by after school every day, and his house sat right by his shop. And he had a porch on front of the house. The porch was nearly as big as the house. He sat on the porch a lot, had some rocking chairs. Well, they'd move his rocking chairs around and sit in them, and then leave them where they were sitting in them. He didn't like that. He said, I wish that anybody that sat in one of my chairs would be stuck to it till I released them from it. She said, that's done. Well, he's trying to think, what else do I want? And he thought about how that if he had any money in his pocket, there was a store on out the other side of his house there. He'd run out there to the store, and he'd buy cold drinks, and he'd buy candy, and he'd buy junk. And at the end of the day, what money he'd made was gone, and he hadn't hung on to it. And he needed to hang on to some money. He's getting old. So he tells her, my 3rd wish is that any money that I put in my pocket would stay there till I had time to really think about it and decide if I wanted to take it out or not. She said, that's done. She picked up her wash pot and walked off with it. And Lon was thinking, well, those things may not really happen that she says, but if they do, I'll like it. If they don't, I'm no worse off. I've got her out of here without her turning me into a frog or anything. Well, it wasn't long till a man came in the shop talking to him and picked up a hammer and started to lay it back down and said, something's wrong. I can't turn loose of this hammer. Lon walked over and took the hammer. And when he did, the man's hand just released from it. He thought, hey, that works. That works. That afternoon, boys come by from school and they were sitting in his chairs and he heard somebody hollering, help, help us, help us. Here were 3 boys stuck in his rocking chairs. He walked out to the house and released them. And goes, this is going to be all right. I think I'm going to like all of this. Well, the next day he was hammering away there on something, and he realized all at once that somebody had walked in the shop that he hadn't seen. It was a hot day. Of course, it's always hot in a blacksmith shop because he had a big fire going to heat his metal. It was very hot in there. Lon was just in a t-shirt and was sweating. This guy was in a long fur coat, and he had on dark glasses. He had on a heavy hat. He's tall, bigger man than Lon. He was tall. Lon looked at him just a second, and he realized who it was. It was old Beelzebub, old Satan himself. When he talked, he's kind of like thunder. Lon, Lon, I've come for you. You've been wicked all your life, like I like, and I've come to take you with me. Well, Lon wasn't really wanting to go. Lon told him, said, Mr. Devil, could you not just wait a while? No, be no waiting. We're going now. Lon was dumbfounded for a moment, and then he thought, okay, before we go, I need to finish what I'm doing right here. Would you hand me that hammer right over there? Big 9-pound hammer. Satan reaches over and takes hold of it. And he starts to hand it to Lon. He can't turn loose of it. He says, what's wrong? Lon says, I believe you're stuck. Are you going to try to carry my hammer with you? I'm not carrying this hammer with me, no. Get it out of my hand now. Well, let's make a little deal. I'd like 5 more years. Satan says, okay, I'll grant you 5 more years. Well, Lon takes the hammer. Satan walks off. 5 years went by a whole lot quicker than Lon had thought they would. One day he looks up and there he stands. Lon, 5 years is up. I've come for you this time, and there's not going to be any deals. Lon says, okay, sir. He shut down everything there in the shop, locked the door. They walk out to the house. Satan said, come on, Lon. He said, I need to step inside and put on a better shirt. This shirt's pretty ragged. It won't matter. He said, well, I'd feel, okay, if you'll feel better, get you a shirt. He said, won't you just sit down here while I go inside, here where it's cool here on the porch. Satan sits down, Lon goes and gets another shirt, and he comes back out, and he's grinning. Satan gets ready to get up. He can't get out of the chair. He is stuck. He tries to stand up, and he brings the chair with him. And, what's going on, Lon? Lon said, I believe you're stuck in my chair. Are you just going to stay here, or are you going to carry the chair with you? Lon, you've played a trick on me again. Yeah, I have. I sure have. Would you like for me to get that chair off of you? Yes, I would. Well, let's do a little negotiations then. I believe it would take 20 years to get that chair off of you. Well, Satan doesn't really want to give him 20 more years, but he does. Lon releases him from the chair. He's gone. Well, that 20 years went by pretty quick, too. One day, old Lon, and he's getting old now, pretty feeble. And he happens to look up, and there he stands. Lon, your 20 years is up. It's time to go. Come on. We're not going to be sitting in a chair. We're not going to be moving any tools. We're going to go. So Lon shuts everything down right quick and locks the door again, and they head out. As they walked by the store, Lon said, I sure am hot and dry. How about you? Satan said, well, yes, I'm hot and dry too. Lon said, I sure would love to have one of them grape knee-highs there out of the store. I said, would you drink one? Well, yes, I would. Well, Lon runs his hand in his pocket and says, I don't have any money. I guess we won't get one. Well, this is kind of flung a craving on Satan. He says, Lon, do you not have any money? No, I don't have any money. But I've read somewhere about you that you can change yourself into anything you want to. Change yourself into a quarter. And I'll take the quarter and I'll go in to the store. I'll get us a couple of grape knee-highs and I'll come back out here and I'll lay the quarter down here. And you can change back to yourself, and we'll drink them as we go on down the road. Satan said, I should have thought of that myself. So, Satan changes into a quarter. Now, mind you, drinks were a lot cheaper then than they are now. Satan changes into a quarter. Lon picks the quarter up and drops it in his pocket. Well, he can't bring money out of his pocket to use it until he really thinks it over good. He's still thinking. And if I tell you that old Lon had the devil in his pocket, yeah, he really did. And that's my story about the old blacksmith.